testing this one. Test. Nintendo and growing older. My. Test. A tea break already, you say? Oh, very good. End of an era. No more physical game media. Alright. Oh, this is going to be an interesting one. Let me get that tea first, though. How you doing, son? Did you have a chili dog before we started? Alright, let me get your foot here now. So, well, hello friends, and thank you for joining me. Yeah, this one I'm just gonna let kind of just roll off I'm not scripting anything, or I'm just gonna let it just flow off my mind. And just thinking about, just getting older and Nintendo. I was born in 1978, so I was the perfect age for growing up with video games. I was 8 years old when the NES was out, and then with the Super Nintendo being in the 90s, and then anybody that knows those days, we had the 16-bit wars, and this was a very incredible time. One thing that made it special is because it was one of the only times where the technology was not the same, and it gave everything such a unique difference. The color differences between the Genesis and the Super Nintendo, and the audio and stuff, but in a lot of ways the Genesis was superior to the NES, which is what it was supposed to do. But when Nintendo took 2 years or something like that, and they came out with Super Nintendo, the technology was a little bit more ahead then. So, but it was such an incredible time. And of course with that was collecting games for it and physical media. And to be honest with me, with my relationship with Nintendo, I've always been Team Nintendo up until the Super Nintendo ended, and I did not like the 64 and Nintendo 64 at all, and it was a little too expensive, and so I lost interest in Nintendo, and I really, over the years, I only kind of kept up with it a little bit. GameCube and stuff like that had some titles, but it wasn't probably until the Wii U, that I started to really like Nintendo again. But I mean, we're all talking here now with this announcement about PlayStation and Sony PlayStation not making physical media anymore after 2028, January 2028, which isn't that far off. So that is, I've been sitting with that, like many of us have been, about what that's going to mean. What is that going to mean now? So let's take a break. We're gonna talk all about Nintendo, and I'm gonna have a puff and grab a tea. I already got a tea. But it's a lot to kind of process right now. This is an interesting moment. But Nintendo is in an interesting place in all this. And so, let's take a break, and we'll be right back. Oh yeah, Team Nintendo. So one thing that I do looking back on all of this, you know, is with Nintendo is that they, no matter what though, even with some of the systems that they put out that weren't the most popular for them, but they had integrity and they didn't abandon the console. And sometimes it was only their games that were keeping it going, right? Kind of like the GameCube and Nintendo 64. You know, they didn't have a lot of third-party support, but they got through, and no matter what, they stayed with it. And like, you know, other companies would abandon their consoles maybe too early. Kind of some of the reasons why Sega got out of the console making business, you know. And fast forward to this, you know, the Switch 2 right here. I mean, I got 3 games here now that are brand new releases, and they're all physical media, and they're all on the cartridge. There's nothing. Cyberpunk 2077 is on this. This is a full game. So it's almost like Nintendo has always been like a generation of technology behind when they release their new console. Sometimes it's really been against them. I kind of felt like with maybe the Wii, I don't know, that was innovative for sure. But I'm such an old school classic gamer that I like the side scroll and Mario Brothers and all that, so I did like the Mario World for the Wii though. But now the graphics are so good that like the Switch 2 is just like mind-blowing. I don't even turn it on. And this is portable right now, you know? And you know, they just released this, and then it's like, yeah, Star Fox, right? So they just released this, and they were saying about the key cards, and we were a little bit upset. People were upset about what that meant. I didn't know what that meant, so I had to look it up, and I didn't think it was so bad. But now Sony announcing that no more physical media. I gotta give, this game is, and I haven't played Star Fox since the Super Nintendo days, so it's almost like full circle for me right now, like Nintendo coming back into top form, top form, you know, and it's like right back to my love of how I felt about Super Nintendo, and back in those days, in the NES days, and I just gotta say that like, I'm Team Nintendo. Like I'm done with Sony. I'm not supporting them with their future projects. My favorite console of theirs was PlayStation 4. So if I ever got a PlayStation again, it would be retro. It would be me collecting for a PlayStation 4 again. I was briefly doing that, but you know, it's like it feels like my childhood right now. You know what I mean? Is like literally coming to. You know, because life can be really tough at times, you know, right now. And Nintendo is just really coming. I find they're just coming around and saving us, you know, right now. I'm right back with Nintendo. Like, I don't need to go anywhere else. Between this and my Switch, you know, collecting for the Switch, there's so many games. You know, what more can you need, really? So I'm very happy if this is the last console I ever buy brand new, and it most likely is, you know. I mean, and this is just starting, so, and Nintendo dedicates a lot of their time to their console, so we could probably be getting another good 6 years of really amazing titles for this, so, I mean, and then you get the back catalog of the Switch, you know, so, alright, let's take a break. But you know, let me sit down first. Whoops. Whew. But I mean, honestly, just thinking about all this technology, it's like, this is where we've come, where we can literally put an arcade into that little tiny box. That's it. And a little arcade. This has 2 games on it, Streets of Rage 1 and 2 on it. Sega Genesis games. But that's mind-blowing, you know? It's incredible. And, you know, we are in the time of AI. I mean, technology in the next couple of years, I mean, consoles, are, you know, it really could be just not even a matter of like Sony making that decision, but it's also like, where does technology go from here? Like, we're getting into like holograms and VR, and that stuff's all going to be just not that far off. So I mean, yeah, I mean, already I go to the mall and they got VR rides there, you know, entertainment. So yeah, it's an interesting place to be, you know, like you know, it's very emotional too, because sometimes the world's moving too fast, you know. It feels like it's moving too fast at times. Like, never would I thought that, like, all my childhood and even where I live, it's like the buildings are being torn down, they're being built up faster. It's like everywhere I look, there's cranes and buildings are being knocked down. It's mind-blowing. And it's not ending. And it's been going like this for like years. It's like the whole city is literally being rebuilt. It's mind-blowing. So it really makes you think and reflect on all this stuff, you know, and think back on my childhood with Nintendo, you know, coming back to Nintendo, and I'm happy to be with Nintendo. So that's all I gotta say, you know. I think beyond that, I mean, I also feel like, you know, there was a time when Sony wasn't making games, and neither was Microsoft, you know. Sega was doing consoles. Panasonic 3DO was a thing for a while, short-lived. There was Atari, Jaguar, and all that. And Sony and Xbox were the new ones coming into an already pretty saturated and full market, you know. Sega dropped out, and then Panasonic didn't work out. They dropped out of making consoles, Sega, but they kept making games, and they branched out to make games for everybody. So, I mean, it could also just mean that there's going to be now a window, right, an opportunity for a new game company to start making a new console. You know, I mean, Neo Geo's getting back into it. They get the Neo Geo AES coming out, physical media, you know, games again and stuff like that. So, you know, Sony's not, I don't know, they're doing what they think they got to do. So, but it's just me. It could be my generation too, you know, like, I'm a physical media guy, and that's just the way I'll be until the end of my days, you know, and so I won't be supporting the cloud, you know. So, but anyway, friends, let me know. I mean, it's a very divided, emotional place to be right now, just thinking that not only is this, you know, 16-bit era gone, the fact that video games in general will be gone, you know, and what's that going to do to the retro gaming community? Now, like, if they stop making physical games in the next while, that means everything that's physical media is going to become really scarce. So that's going to be interesting. So anyway, I just thought I would just let this one ride out, you know, let my thoughts go, but I just wanted to I don't know, share some thoughts on getting older with Nintendo. So yeah, I'm glad I'm back full swing, back full circle. So I feel good, you know. It's like returning home. Nintendo's right where they need to be, and it's just, and the fact that it's portable, and it's just, I couldn't be happier. It all aligned, you know, the technology, the portability, the title, just took a while, right? But boom, and everything lined up, and that's a masterpiece there, I find. Switch 2, very happy. So thanks everyone. What's up, everybody? I am here today at my local GameStop to get my copy of Star Fox launch day. I am so excited. Let's go inside, take a look. Switch to the Star Fox. Where are you, Star Fox?
We do have some back here too, but
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Look at all these beautiful games. Look at all these beautiful games. I am definitely picking up Star Fox. Yes.